Welcome, future doctors. In this explainer, we're going to dive into something truly fundamental, the biological blueprint of the human body. Seriously, mastering these principles is a cornerstone of pathology, and it's going to be absolutely crucial as you move into your clinical studies.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the body's blueprint, then look at the cellular building blocks. After that, we'll see how the whole structure gets assembled and sculpted, and we'll wrap up by exploring what happens when those plans go wrong.
So, let's start with the master plan itself. You've got to understand the fundamental rules that govern how everything is built before you can even begin to understand how things can break, right? This is really the big question, isn't it? How in the world do we go from one single fertilized egg to us, a complex, functioning human being? It all boils down to three fundamental processes that have to work together in perfect harmony.
The first principle is growth. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. To build a body, you have to get bigger. This happens in two ways. First, cell proliferation, just making more and more cells. And second, producing what's called the extracellular matrix. Think of it as the biological mortar that holds all of our cellular bricks together.
Next up, we have differentiation. See, it's not enough to just have a giant pile of identical cells. They need to specialize. It's like an unspecialized stem cell gets a set of instructions telling it what its job is going to be. You're going to be a muscle cell that contracts. You're going to be a neuron that fires signals. They all have to choose a career.
And finally, we have morphogenesis. The word literally means the beginning of shape, and that's exactly what it is. This is the master architect at work, taking all those specialized cells and arranging them into incredibly complex structures, like a four-chambered heart or a brain with all its different parts.
Now, it's really important to get this. Not all of our cellular bricks are created equal. Once our body is built, our cells fall into different categories based on their ability to divide, and this has huge implications for health and disease.
We basically have three main types of cells. First, you've got labile cells. These guys are constantly dividing to replace old ones. Think about the surface of your skin or the lining of your gut. Then you have stable cells. They're usually just chilling out, but they can start dividing if they get the signal, like if your liver gets injured. And last, you have permanent cells, like your neurons and heart muscle. Once they're mature, that's it. They can't divide anymore.
So here's the crucial takeaway. This classification isn't just some academic fact to memorize. It has huge clinical relevance. When you have a patient with a cut on their skin, you expect it to heal pretty well, right? That's because skin cells are labile. But after a heart attack, the damaged heart muscle can't grow back because those cells are permanent. This concept is absolutely fundamental to understanding tissue repair.
Okay, so we've got our rules and we've got our materials. Now let's take a look at how pathology really connects this foundational science to the medicine you'll be practicing.
I love this tree of medicine visual because it perfectly shows you the central role of pathology. Think about it. The basic sciences, like cell biology, they're the roots, the foundation. The clinical specialties, surgery, pediatrics, all of that, they're the branches, where the treatment happens. So what connects them? Pathology. It's the trunk of the tree, the essential bridge between understanding how the body is built and knowing how to fix it when things go wrong.
Now, creating the intricate shape of the human body isn't just about adding new material. In a lot of cases, it's actually about carefully and very precisely removing it. This isn't some chaotic demolition. No, it's an incredibly precise sculpting process. The body actually starts out with more cells than it needs, and then carefully carves away the extra stuff to reveal its final, beautiful form. The technical term for this cellular sculpting is apoptosis, or programmed cell death. It's an amazing, orderly process where a cell basically packages itself up for neat disposal. It avoids all the mess and inflammation you see in other kinds of cell death. And here's your clinical aha moment. When this process fails, when cells that are supposed to die don't, that can lead to cancer. And when it's overactive, it can contribute to autoimmune diseases. It's a critical balancing act.
A perfect example of this is right in your own hands. Early in development, our hands are actually webbed, kind of like little paddles. Then, apoptosis gets triggered in the cells of that webbing. They neatly self-destruct, and voila, you get separate fingers. This same sculpting process happens all over the developing body. So we have this elegant blueprint for growth, differentiation, and morphogenesis. And we have this amazing sculpting tool called apoptosis. But what happens when there are errors in that blueprint, or flaws in the construction? Well, that's where we enter the world of developmental pathology.
When these fundamental processes go off the rails, it can lead to a huge range of congenital conditions. Just a single mistake during any of these delicate steps can have a massive domino effect, resulting in everything from a minor physical issue to a severe, life-threatening disorder.
You're going to encounter a lot of terms to describe these errors, but let's lock in a few key ones. Agenesis, that's the complete failure of an organ to even form, a catastrophic blueprint error. Atresia is when a tube or a passage fails to open up, which is often a failure in that sculpting process we just talked about. And hypoplasia is when an organ is there, but it's underdeveloped. It's just too small to work right.
Growth across the whole system can get disrupted too. On one hand, you can have genetic errors like the extra chromosome in Down syndrome that change the core instructions in the blueprint itself. On the other hand, the blueprint might be totally fine, but the hormonal signals that regulate growth get messed up, leading to conditions like gigantism.
And that brings us to our final, most important thought. As a future doctor, you are essentially a mechanic of the human body. And you can't fix a machine unless you understand deeply how it was built in the first place. Mastering this blueprint of growth, differentiation, and morphogenesis is your key to understanding, diagnosing, and one day treating what happens when that beautiful construction process goes wrong.